What happened was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting people. I enjoyed putting deals together. That's what I like to do best. And really, over the years, just watching Maverik, this explosion, over the last decade.
Yeah.
Not only here in Utah, but elsewhere. And it, I feel like you were a part of that growth.
Welcome to the Mountain West podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. Today, we have a really exciting episode. We have a special guest with a couple of brokers. The special guest, Maverik, what is it? Adventure's First Stop.
Nice.
I got it. So we've got Joe, I'm going to get this right, Tonumaipea.
Perfect. That works.
So Joe, Preston Miller, and Spencer Greer. Spencer and Preston are representing Maverik, and Joe obviously works at Maverik. What's your title at Maverik?
Senior Real Estate Manager.
Senior Real Estate Manager. Awesome. So this will be really cool. We'll get a little bit of interaction between how a broker works with a client and also what a client thinks of brokers. Why don't we start with some intros? Joe, would you mind give us like your origin story, how you got to Maverik?
Sure. Happy to do it. So I'm Samoan by heritage. Grew up in New Zealand, came out here in the States several years ago, and has stayed ever since. Got to Maverik. My background, I'm a graduate from the University of Utah, did my MBA over there at West Mini when it was a college.
No
now
way.
it's a university.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of my career in finance. That's really my background. At Wells Fargo for several years, then Goldman Sachs for a couple of years, and I ended up at Maverik because we were losing our jobs, and one of they were moving the some of the our office elsewhere, so ended up a friend of mine, a friend of ours actually was a VP at Maverik, and he was kind enough to say, hey, come over and do this if you want,
Do real estate at the time? No way.
I was not. The only real estate I knew at the time was bought a couple of homes. That was it. I had no idea about commercial versus, retail and all of that. But obviously 12 years later, got a little bit of experience in that field. And that's how I ended up with Maverik.
That's cool. That's really awesome. It's always funny, real estate managers or real estate directors or whatever, in my experience, they never start in real estate. Like they never set out to do real estate for a company. Most of them came from a different background, finance or whatever. And it's like that opportunity appears like, I'll do this for a minute. And then they end up sticking with it. I don't know if that's a condemnation of real estate or what.
No, so when I got into it, I didn't know a whole lot about real estate, but what happened was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting people. I enjoyed putting deals together. That's what I like to do best. And really, over the years, just watching Maverik, this explosion, over the last decade. Yeah. Not only here in Utah, but elsewhere. And I feel like you were a part of that growth. And that just made it even more fun and decided to hang around.
Yeah. And I'll get to you guys in just a second, but it just made me think of something when you said that. When I was not a kid, but like in the early 2000s, late 90s, Maverik was, if you guys remember, was just like a kind of a quirky, weird, I don't know how many locations there were, maybe like 100 or something. Yeah, the country store. It had like that country facade and
like two pumps.
Yeah, kind of old and tired and weird and clunky. And something happened in 2008 or 9 or 10. You could tell us that just completely changed the trajectory of Maverik, and now it is this massive behemoth.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool.
It's cool. It's cool, and I felt like I was. If you picture an airplane sitting in the tarmac, right? I joined right when the engine was just starting to rev, and you can feel it. And it was starting to head down the tarmac there, and all of a sudden it just took off. And things were happening so fast. From day to day, I wasn't sure where I was going to be because we were growing so fast.
Yeah, still are.
And we are. We're growing. We're expanding. As you are well aware, a former Come and Go guy, we acquired Come and Go a couple of years ago. So that expanded. We're when I joined, it was about 250 maybe plus stores in the market, and we're honing in on 1,000 stores.
And how long have you been at Maverik?
About 12 years.
That's
About
incredible.
12 years. So
That's
in that period of time, in
incredible.
fact, we built more Maveriks within the last 10 years than the history of the company, right? Which started in 1928.
Wow.
But yeah, the growth. I mean, it all starts with leadership, man. The way they envisioned it, where Maverik was going, the new site planning. They went away from the country store look to bring it into kind of the modern convenience store look.
Right.
And then we've had like maybe 2 or 3 different generations of buildings. Then it became a strategy where we're going to place the next store, how we're going to place the next store. So it just building on top of those fundamentals.
Yeah.
And now we are where we are today.
It's incredible growth.
Yeah.
Let's do some housekeeping here. This is interesting because we're on this podcast putting brokers together with their client. And so let's give an intro to Preston and Spencer here, who, as I mentioned at the beginning, represent Maverik. Give us your quick story, guys.
On how we got introed to Maverik.
Yeah, whatever story you want to, your origin story or whatever you feel compelled to say.
Yeah. No, Maverik, with the very first deal we worked on with Maverik, we were actually on the landlord side rather than the tenant side. And that's how we kind of got to know them. And then, yeah, quickly we worked hard. We were efficient. I think there were some kind of loose ends we were able to put together that really maybe the procuring broker should have, but we did. And then, yeah, as luck would have it, we ended up working with a director of real estate that moved from one company to another and moved back to Maverik. And then, so then we started working on the tenant side. So it was just a move of a director of real estate. That's pretty common in the industry. But then that's how we got introduced and started doing deals ever since.
How many deals have you guys, how many have you done? How many are in the pipeline? Like, we're talking a significant amount of deals that you guys have represented Maverik on.
Our first assignment was actually Montana, and we worked Montana hard and got a bunch of sites with LOIs, and then we didn't know at the time, but then they were working on the acquisition of Come and Go, and so they put the kibosh on Montana. I think we had 12, 14 LOIs out, cold called dotted along every freeway, and then they pulled the rug out, which we didn't know at the time. There was something bigger in store, and then but we worked that market so hard that we were able to now transition down to Utah, where we're from.
Mr. Spencer Greer. What about you? Tell us about yourself.
Height, weight, what are you looking for?
Any detail you want to provide.
I think like Preston said, that was probably late 2019 when we started working with that. We had a really interesting deal because that deal we were working down in Sandy happened to, went under contract, and then we had COVID. And obviously all deals started to change. I think we were all of a sudden dealing with the dynamics of what does field look like? What does our future look like on traffics? Because now all of a sudden the freeway traffic that we were targeting, was a lot different. And I think we learned a lot on the brokerage side that they look ahead. They look ahead to, what do these things look like in the long term? And how is that going to affect their store growth? And so we had that weird glimpse of 6 months that was longer than that, but we were during our due diligence period understanding that. And so that was interesting to learn. I would say it's the first company we've worked with on that level that had that much knowledge to look ahead and understand exactly site plans, traffic patterns, in and out access. It was just a completely different spectrum of looking at it to understand all that.
Love it. Yeah. So just for the record, I actually was a broker representing Come and Go on the other side, which was a convenience store chain out of Iowa, which was almost the same size as Maverik, maybe a little smaller, but we were doing tons of deals and had a bunch of stuff in the pipeline. And then we, just like everybody else, got told that Maverik was going to acquire Come and Go, which was crazy. We that's another podcast altogether about how much exposure you can have as a broker doing a bunch of work and just getting left on the curb.
If you're in the industry long enough,
it happens to everybody.
Yeah, I don't envy. I really don't envy. I don't know if I can do what you guys do. Right? It's a tough word. It's a dog eat dog, if you want to call it that.
Yeah,
if you don't.
sure.
So we've also seen a lot of brokers come into the market and leave because they just don't. They can't handle that type of work. But I was going to say, part of the reason we hired these guys or work with Preston and with Spencer is it's the very simple stuff. Can I get a phone call back from a broker?
Yeah.
And can I get it back quick? And can I?
That sounds so dumb, but it's so true.
Dumb, but it's so true. And those little things like that develops these relationships that we have today. Preston is one of the most creative guys that I know in that I've been working with. But when you find people that you like to work with, you tend to stick with those guys,
right? For the reasons you just said, yeah.
For the reasons I just said, you trust them. You they get creative. They work, and that's all you're asking for as an end user or a client, right? Is to have those types of relationships. So
don't you think that interplay is funny between a broker and a client? Like it's so interesting. Really depends on the market cycle. Like in 2008, 2009, 2010, when the market was just crushed, 9 out of 10 brokers would have died to be a manager of real estate, working at a company, getting a paycheck, getting benefits, having an income that can be steady. And I always wonder, like, does a real estate manager ever think about that in the opposite direction? Like, man, I wish I could be a broker. Or do you always just say, I would never want to be a broker?
No, well, personally, no. Okay. Maybe there's some people there. But one of the arguments we always have, and I think Preston and I discussed this or talked about this in the past, is like, there are times when people are like, well, I hate brokers. I don't like work. Okay, go do what they do. Mm-hmm. When you go do what they do, you're going to realize that you may not be as good at what you do as what they do. So there's this prevailing conversation out there that brokers are greedy and they do a lot. They'll do whatever it is to get a deal done, regardless of maybe a small percentage of that. I don't even know what that is.
It's out there, yeah.
But definitely the 90% of the brokers we work with, honorable guys, just like me, just trying to keep the lights on, and trying to build a career. So I'm not one of those that think that way. In fact, I absolutely believe our success for myself and for Maverik in some instances has to do with the fact that we use the brokers and we use them in a way that benefits both of us.
It's an extension of you,
it's
really.
An extension of us. That's exactly right.
How do you see that as a benefit, or how do you leverage that, having these guys be your broker? It makes your footprint way larger, but 100%. For you, what are the biggest benefits?
I can't go and look at every corner from here to wherever I operate, right? That's where the brokers come in. And that's number one. So number two, so you're more efficient with your time. Number two, brokers have relationships that we don't have. So especially into newer markets, no one's going to care who Joe Tonumaipea is because they don't have a relationship. But if I'm hiring the right person in that market, they're going to trust them. And they go, oh, yeah, okay, so Preston is the guy. Yeah, all right, I don't know who Joe is, but I do know Preston, and I'm going to do a deal because Preston we've had relationships in the past. So those are just two of the reasons why you would want to use brokers.
Yeah. Let's talk about the evolution of just Maverik and its footprint and what it's like today. I mean, as I referenced before, the Maverik Country store used to be just a little tiny postage stamp, but now, like, my son and I, we go to Lake Powell a couple times a year, and the stop at Fillmore Maverik is like a pilgrimage for us. Like about 100 miles before, we're talking about what burrito we're going to get. And you get there, and it is like the busiest place in Utah.
Busy.
There are probably more people that visit the Fillmore Maverik than most
entire city of Fillmore.
For sure. But
it's Yeah.
I just think that's so interesting how it's this. I don't know what the size of that store is. Probably
It's a
6,000 square
store,
feet.
yeah.
But it's got a full kitchen. It's got everything in there.
It started off as a traditional, country store, we used to call them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that thing has been like, what's the monster that they keep, the famous
Godzilla.
Frankenstein.
Oh, the Frankenstein.
Right? They
Monster
just keep
Frankenstein,
adding
yeah.
parts and parts, to it, so to where it is today. And one of the things that, so now it's one of our top performing stores. It's a really good store for us, but it's located appropriately. Like it's a really good distance from Salt Lake to St. George, right? I stop
Halfway
it.
point.
It's almost like a halfway point for most people. So it's properly located. What was the other part of that question?
Well, what I think is interesting too about that is there are like three gas stations right there in that
Yeah.
same area, and there are people there, but like 1/100th of the amount of people that go to Maverik. So the brand of Maverik
It's
also
a very strong
is
brand.
Very strong.
It's in our backyard, right? So Utah, if a store doesn't do well here, we're doing something wrong
Yeah.
because Utah is Maverik as the way we see it. That's our backyard. Sorry, and so we expect when we open a Maverik here, we're going to do well.
I would have thought. I mean, I think you said that Maverik or the Fillmore Maverik wasn't the busiest, but man, I would have thought that was the busiest. Is there a busier?
There are.
That's incredible.
It's busy. And when I say it's not the busiest, it's probably top 5 in our network.
Wow. Like, what's the busiest or one of the busiest?
We have a few other stores in the network that can do well. Not necessarily in Utah.
Okay. I know that North Las Vegas one. I've been to that one many times.
North Las Vegas is amazing. It performs extremely well in terms of gallons, but there are some of the stores that you would never think would do well are actually outside of a freeway system. They're in an area where it's a highway. It's not the truck counts or the car counts are not that. You look at it and you go, hey, well, we're going to have a great store, but it's not going to be the number 1 or 2 stores in the network,
Yeah.
and they happen to be.
Wow.
So it's not necessarily but again, it takes so many from choosing the right site to operating it, to marketing it. All those things have to marry. You can't do one without the other. We
Yeah.
can choose the best site in the world,
Yeah.
but if we can't operate it, it's not gonna be profitable.
I heard a crazy rumor about the North Vegas store. You can tell me if it's, or you don't have to tell me, but I heard that store gets multiple truck deliveries a day for fuel.
There may be some truth to that.
That's unbelievable. That's how much fuel that's going through.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And again, we have not just North Las Vegas, we have a few that are like that in the network. So
What's your favorite burrito at Maverik?
Oh, easily the steak. Right? I'm a steak guy for sure.
It's actually, the food is
Bonfire
actually
Grill?
really
It's
good.
good.
well,
I know
we
that
appreciate
sounds crazy.
Yeah, and that's credit to the operations, credit to the chef. We actually have a test kitchen that can, and every now and then they'll call us and say, "Hey, come try this new stuff," and I love that.
Like they're actually making it. I'm sure most people listening to this have been to one, but you're making the food on site. Like
We are.
The other one we go to all the time is the Page, Arizona Maverik, which
right.
is kind of in a weird location if you're coming from Antelope, because you have to go all the way around town. So we pass 67 gas stations to get to the Maverik so we can get a buffalo chicken burrito before we go.
Yeah, and we're one of a few that actually has a kitchen installed inside. It's called a bonfire grill, right? So you go in there and you order food, so you can have fresh food right there and then. So, and you would think everybody does that. Not everybody does that. Everything is off the roller grills or prepare the night before kind of situation. But you can right now kind of see that trend because people are catching on. It's like, okay, all right, they have a lot of people go to that store. I wonder why. You go inside and they have fresh food right there. And so,
God, that reminded me of a story. I was with Come and Go once, and we were touring the Salt Lake market, and they were trying to get as much intel as they could on Maverik, and we visited the Draper location on 146th
Yep.
in the morning, and that bonfire grill was going off.
Yeah.
There were so many contractors there. There was a line literally all the way in the store, out the door for breakfast burritos.
Yeah, it's and we don't lose the look. I'm sure there. If you want to find a burrito, you can probably find it somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is, you make great food and it's convenient for people to pick up, because a lot of those people aren't going to have an hour to sit down. They're there to pick something up and go to work.
Yep.
That's our clientele. That's who we cater. We try to go after.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and another thing I think that Maverik specialized in was taking the store and orienting them the same. So most of them, the newer ones, you want emphasizing the word convenient. Bathrooms are going to be to the right. Soda machines are going to be to the right. Bonfire grills in the middle. Checkouts, come in the doors. It's quick to your
Beer
left.
cave is in the same place.
Beer cave's in the same place, yes. So they can find that. But then, and so it's convenient. So when you know where things are, you can get in there faster, more efficiently, and get out of there. And then the bathrooms, right? We got to talk about the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Number one cleanest bathroom in America.
I thought you were going to say the number one busiest bathroom.
That one I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we're the number one, because we were able to to keep the line moving.
They are clean though, yeah.
So clean
that's a
bathroom.
good
So
point.
they did some measurement. I don't know who did.
They
the poll.
did a few years ago, and I don't remember now, but we always do these studies. What does the client want? And that's actually one of the number one things. I hope they don't get mad at me for giving away as a trade secret, but that's actually one of the things that people say all the time is we want bigger, cleaner bathrooms.
Yeah.
And especially if you're traveling, right? When you're, in an urban area, okay, I can make it home.
Right.
I don't care. But when you're traveling for, between here and St. George or between here and Texas, whatever, you want to be able to go and enjoy a moment in silence in a clean bath.
That's the number one thing for us on travel. With
Totally.
3 kids,
Wife, 3 kids,
and
family.
You got a diaper you got to change. You want to go to a place that's clean.
Well, but we don't decide.
No.
Our wives decide.
The wife
right?
decides.
Let's all just say it like it is.
But we cater to the ladies.
Yeah, it's smart.
They're the ones that ask for it, and rightly so. And Maverik responded, and so,
So for people listening to the pod who have a site or could have a site for Maverik, what are some general specs that they should know? Like what's the acreage? How big is the building? Any kind of details like that you guys want to provide?
Yeah. So there's 2 sites, right? There's the high flow sites, which is the semi trucks, and high flow is interesting. I didn't even think about this until I kind of watched it, but semi trucks put 2 fill nozzles in their trucks on both sides, right? Mm-hmm. And so when they put high flow, the outside lanes are kind of worthless. It's really the inside lanes because they'll put 2 nozzles in their trucks. Mm-hmm. And so high flows, if it's a high flow site, it's 3 to 4 acres, can go up to 5 even.
You can go up as big. We have sites that are 10 acres. Wow. So we can build monsters. But in addition to what you're saying there, Preston, is it's also not just the fact that you have these 2 nozzles. It's also the rate of flow. And that's just the common practice. And
I used a high flow once on my truck.
There you go.
The tank got filled really quick.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to use it either because it has like numbers and stuff. Like it's like using a telephone or something. I couldn't figure it out.
So yeah.
And then the non-high flow sites are 1.5 acres. That's kind of the magic number.
Okay.
As square as possible.
It's almost like your urban concept, for lack of a better description.
So no, they wouldn't have a separate lanes for RVs or trucks. It's just the automobiles.
Looking to purchase primarily is the idea.
Yeah. For sure. They self-develop. We get that question a lot. Could a developer get out in front of them and build for them? No, they self-develop. So they hire their own contractors. They manage it. We work with their engineers quite a bit. They are awesome. They have an entitlement team. They do their own site plans. We call it test fits. Like every site will do a test fit, but really sometimes before we offer, or almost simultaneously, just to see if the site works. And they do that in-house. So much of it is efficient, vertically integrated and in-house, which makes our job really nice. We don't have to sit and wait for weeks and weeks on some outside architect.
You always know that it's going to get done.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that have come to us and said, how about we change this on their store design? How about we do this? So they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's a reason they have, what'd you say, 1,000 stores now?
Almost. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna, we're probably in a year or two. We're gonna probably we're coming on 1,000. But yeah, you both of those comments are very fair. We have everything in house, and we have a design team too. So any standards. So an engineer has an idea, or may have put the pump somewhere else, where our design team, they're very vocal about that. Mm-hmm. We'll come back and say, no, you've got to do it this way, or the spacing between the canopy and the parking apron has to be this or this. So to your point earlier, it makes it similar for the customer. Mm-hmm. So they walk in, all right, I don't have to squeeze through here. I know where the bathrooms are. I know where this is, and I know where that is. So
there's something so cool about a company or retailer or whatever who's just like really going like crazy, growing like crazy, doing a ton of locations.
Dialed.
It's so fun as a broker to represent that client. It's so fun to be in-house with that. And it's also really cool that you guys have like a great fit between broker and Maverik. Just makes everything work so much quicker. I mean, we've all been on different sides where you're working for a company who's not doing anything, and it's sort of depressing.
Yeah, because you're spending a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
But because of the growth and our growth goals, I just don't see us slowing down. Now, obviously, COVID kind of put a kibosh on that for a little, just for a tiny moment, but we came back roaring not too long after that. So, but yeah.
All right, I got to push you on something.
All right.
So we all love Maverik and we love the burritos, but we want a Maverik or Mavericks in Lake Powell. So we got our guy Zach over at Powell Heads, and there's been, I don't know if I'd call it a conspiracy theory, but definitely like a theory that Maverik might be interested in taking over the convenience stores at Lake Powell. And I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah. If they are, I haven't heard about it.
Okay, how do we make this happen?
How many likes do we have to get?
How many likes do we have to get
a
Powell store?
2.2 million.
That's too many. Come on. But there's this for everybody that knows. There's this place called Dangling Rope, which actually closed, but it's out on the lake. It's like 50 miles up lake. And how cool would that be if that was like a floating Maverik in the middle of the lake?
Stop in the back.
It fits the theme, right?
That's it. Yeah, the theme. It really does.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Ice cream.
Logistically, it'll be a nightmare.
Yeah, but we know that already.
We talked a little bit about it before the podcast. We've had some crazy ideas over the past. Floating Maverik with some pumps, and
there we go. See, there's no danger in that.
We haven't talked about this, but part of the reason we're not at those types of locations is very simple. You've got to have, if you look around and you see a Maverik somewhere, we look at traffic and rooftops.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you gotta have the volume.
You gotta have the volume in order, because you're putting down, $10 million asset here in Utah, and you got to be able to return something to the owner. So, and over the years, we've looked at Bear Lake. That's an area that I covered. I still cover. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
From a return, an ROI standpoint.
Especially you got the winter time. It's a little.
And you caught it right there. I didn't want to.
Same with Lake Powell. Yeah.
It's very seasonal.
Maverik's not making a lot in the middle of the winter out at Dangling Rope.
We may have to shut it down for the winter.
Hey,
like a school. You reopen in the summer. But
you can sell gas at $12 a gallon. That's guaranteed.
If we all agree to pay $15, will you agree?
Yeah, make it out.
An ice cream cone is $25.
Yeah. But if you had mentioned you were at Page, so part of the reason we had a store in Page is because there's a population. It's very isolated, but there's a population right there
Yeah.
that all kind of funnel to where you are.
Right. It's
And
going to
so-
be incredible in the summertime, but you can also supplement in the wintertime with real
100%.
traffic.
And we do well. So that's, we joke about it, but that's in terms of real analysis, that's part of the reason why we don't generally look at those types of sites as sites where we need to build.
The other thing that we always hear as brokers, and I'm sure you get it all the time, is why can't you do a Maverik that's just EV, that's for electric vehicles, that has charging stations? Like you go to the one in Fillmore, Beaver, Tesla has their supercharger there, and there's like no convenience store, which I always thought is such a miss. Like you're, especially in a EV, because you are stuck there for 10 to 30 minutes charging your car. It's not like gas. You
captive
pump it in
audience,
5 minutes, you're gone.
It's a question where we've debated and bounced around internally. The answer always comes back to it's not a moneymaker. And we would do EVs, and we do have sites with EVs.
Yeah.
And the last few sites that we've done, especially in California, are requirements. So we're required to have EVs and stuff. And that would probably be the only reason why we would do EVs, is because we're required by the government entity, whoever's approving it. But for the most part, it's the way. This is my personal view on it: is the technology is not there yet, where it becomes a consistent profit margin for us.
Because like at an urban site, you're charging your car at home, so there's no reason to stop at a
100%.
Maverik to charge your car.
And so the data is just not there yet. I'm not discounting it at all. I think maybe 50 years from now, EV is going to be very much part of our of how Maverik operates.
And you'll still be doing the site
Yeah,
selection.
I'll be dead, but you guys are welcome to keep doing deals that long.
Yeah, that'd be incredible how I'll be doing it from the next life. But the point I'm trying to make here is we don't discount it. We think it's definitely a legitimate technology, but we just, at this point, there's not enough there to have Maverik build, like you said, just a massive. And I've seen those between Baker and
Out in the Mojave there.
yeah, Mojave. They have a lot of those and out there. And look, if it works for some, great. But right now, it's just not something we're really pursuing for those reasons.
I don't know why this question just popped up in my head, but I was thinking to myself, site tours are awesome. A site tour basically means everybody jumps in the car and we all go out and we look at sites.
Yeah.
But from a broker perspective, they're generally not our favorite thing to do.
Really?
And I just wondered, like, what's your take on a site tour? Do you equally dislike site tours?
No, actually, no. That's actually part of what we do. Because every now and then, when we have a market set up, the ownership and some of the C-suite people will want to go see the sites before they dump millions and millions of dollars into sites. They want to at least see if it meets. So it's almost a have to for us to put eyes on a corner to have the ownership group or the people that makes the decision to move. Okay. And we prefer that as brokers, because it's the last thing you want is to choose sites on Google Maps.
Yeah.
Google Earth, right?
Yeah. We used to call that freeway brokerage.
Freeway brokerage.
Now it's called Google brokerage.
There you go. and you want the people that are going to make the decisions to go on these tours, to look at these sites, tell us, why do you think these sites are not going to work? And you have that debate.
Yeah.
Because when you have that debate, it eventually will end up at the right decision. You know, a site I might love, someone with more experience or someone, like a VP of or director of real estate may go, well, you didn't think about this. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to do that. But if I just bring them site and they go, oh, great, yeah, go build them, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. And taking these folks on these tours is prevalent for them to make the proper decisions. So, yeah, you may hate them as brokers.
Yeah.
But for
I
us,
don't know if I hate it, but I think
for us, it's critical.
everything you're saying actually is makes perfect sense. And I hadn't really thought a lot of those things. I think from our perspective, and maybe you guys could speak to it, but maybe I'm just the only one that doesn't like site tours, but we've been to the site already 4 times.
Well,
We've talked to everybody, like we know everything about the site. So of course we have to present it in the best light. But for us, it's a little bit like been here 40 million times. I've done this, like here's the site, but
Yeah, you've seen it.
maybe I'm the bad guy here.
Well, they're exhausting.
Yeah.
Too. I don't know why they're so tiring, but your mind is in hyperload and
Answering questions,
but you're drawing information you learned from long ago to make it applicable to the site. And you're speaking the whole time. We joke that it's like a 12-hour first date or something,
Yeah.
but you sleep really well that night.
Yeah.
Well, and I picked up on the point you made there, which is really, really critical. As a broker, right? You're not only hearing from me, but you may hear something different from a person that's actually making the decision to move forward. Right. You might hear that and you go, "Hey, Joe, did you think about that?" And I'm like, I missed it. All right, cool. So there is great benefit going on these tours, especially with the decision makers.
Yeah, for sure.
Does it feel like convenience stores, C-stores are just like bigger and bigger and bigger every single year?
It feels that way, and I'm seeing that in the markets. Actually, I'm California, for example. Circle K is coming out with some big sites.
They opened that one in Page.
Yeah, Arco.
Huge.
Arco is opening up some big sites, but it's not new. If you travel east, you're very familiar with QT, Quick Trip. You're familiar with Wawa.
Yeah,
all
great
these
operators. Yeah,
great operators. So and their stores are humongous, just as big as Maverik. So, but that's where the trend is. Now it's not. Everybody's not going to do that because everybody doesn't have the operations or the capital to be able to do that. But that's the trend, and that seems like the trend that I'm seeing out there.
Yeah, no, I think it is. And then you got obviously Buc-ee's, which is announcing
Buc-ee's is a different beast.
a store in Utah, and it's like what 100,000 square feet or something.
It's a Walmart. It's
crazy.
120 pumps. There's nothing convenient about that.
Yeah. What's your take on that from a?
Yeah, again, it's one of those things we always debate and we always look at, we analyze to death, but the bottom line is they are a different player than we are. They're going to obviously take gas customers away from us.
Yeah.
But we don't, we generally don't see them as competitors.
Sometimes you almost like a destination.
It's a destination, and that's exactly, we're in the convenience business. We should never lose sight of that. That's who we are. So at some point, you might want to go to Buc-ee's, but you're not going to go to Buc-ee's every day along your trip to work or along your, because it's not convenient. You get, okay, I got it. Great fudges, but I can wait.
Right.
I can wait till next week, kind of thing. Getting into a Buc-ee's is also not as easily accessible. I was looking at one site at Buc-ee's, and we've been studying Buc-ee's. One of the sites that I saw somewhere, I'm not going to tell you where we went to, but you have to go almost around the building just to get into the site.
And they're always like way out there.
And they're way out there in the middle of nowhere, which is fine. But again, we don't see ourselves as that. Mm-hmm. We don't lose sight of the fact that we are a convenience business. And so the easier in to get out, the easier to get out, easier to get in, easier to get out, we're going. So, but we're also under no disillusion that Buc-ee's will hurt us to some degree.
It's definitely a great operator. They have a really cool presentation and like everything about it's awesome.
Big following.
Huge following. Huge
following. Yeah. So
give me a crazy deal that you guys worked on.
Horror story
for Maverik. Yeah, maybe a horror story. It could be a success story. Whatever you want it to be.
It was a horror, but it ended up being.
Yeah, I've got one I thought of while you were talking. So we secured a site on Highway 40 headed from Park City to Heber. So it's north of the dam.
Yep.
Before you go up over the hill. So there's the new Mayflower ski resort there, backside of Deer Valley, and
Hideaway or whatever.
Hideaway, yeah. So the site is Quinn's Junction, and this was extremely complicated. So the site is contaminated, not from fuel. Want to be clear about that. From tailings from the mines.
Oh, wow.
So they come down the river, and the lower part of the site is contaminated. And so when it took 3 years for the seller did a lot of it, but they got the EPA to approve the site. But this was very technical because Maverik had to buy the entity that owned the dirt because only that entity had been cleared to opt for that site. And so it was contaminated, still contaminated, but not with fuel, with tailings. So every spring, the runoff picks up the tailings and brings them down the river again.
So you have to mitigate that every spring.
Not necessarily. They're basically, because the Maverik site will be up higher, it's just acknowledging that the kind of eastern edge of that parcel will get contaminated every single spring.
Wow.
So no one's really solving for it, but everyone's aware of it. And that's why they had to buy the entity rather than buy it with their own Maverik entity. So the contract wasn't a purchase and sale of real estate. It was a purchase and sale of an entity that happened to come with real estate.
Wow, that's interesting.
That was technical.
Yeah.
We got that done though.
That's wild. But it was a success in the end.
When do we start construction on that one?
It's under construction.
Under construction.
Yeah. So we should see that opening. I think it's early next year opening.
2027.
Situation, yeah.
What's your guys' view on just having a great client like Maverik? I mean, as brokers, we have awesome clients, we have tough clients, we have, the whole spectrum. What does it feel like to represent a client like Maverik and just have an incredible opportunity to do these deals with Joe?
Yeah, well, I think they're very hard. They're hard deals. They take a long time. And the good part about that is Maverik isn't difficult. So to have both a tough client and a tough site, and also cities don't necessarily love underground fuel tanks. I mean, that's
true.
Historically, there's a stigma, right? About
there is.
You say a gas station, cities are like, no.
Contamination. Yeah. They immediately think.
Yeah.
So it's not a drive-through restaurant. It's not a strip center. It's a underground fuel tank, and cities push back. They don't necessarily love that. Their zoning is tougher on convenience stores than it is on those other uses. And
usually
so,
conditional use, right? In almost all municipalities.
Yeah. So they make it really easy because they communicate, like I mentioned before, they're vertically integrated. So they have a lot of the third parties, we call them, in-house, and they'll quickly spend money on a site, get through those third party, phase one, environmental, geotech, survey if need be, and they'll do that quickly. And without us even pushing them, they just do it. And that makes our jobs really easy so that we know if the site works or not very quickly. So they're an easy client on a tough ask.
Business.
Yeah.
Tough business.
Yeah.
Hard to find the right size, I think, a lot of the times. Yeah. It's not like you can just find 5 acres sitting in the middle of nowhere. And then when you do find it.
In Mill Creek, just need 5 acres of Mill Creek.
Often there isn't enough power or there's other problems. We've had to bore underneath the freeway on sites. And that's been an interesting process to learn, the things that you have to do with Rocky Mountain Power, Dominion, getting the transformers there. So that, I think, just like you said, they have enough people in-house. Joe and his cohorts are all very talented in knowing exactly the next steps that need to happen. And then knowing how to navigate cities. I think that's one thing that you guys probably don't get enough credit for, is there's a lot of laws that go into restrictions and zones and everything. And whether it's a rezone or lot line adjustment, you guys have a very talented team, top down. And it goes into, they know how to get through a city. They know how to talk to people, and they know how to get things done in an effective manner. I don't think you guys are a bulldog or a bull in a china shop. You guys come in and you want to solve the issue. We've done deals before where it's been, let me help the neighbor get signage if we need to move something, where you're playing nice with everyone. And ultimately they're a great player for the community at the end of the day.
There was they listen to the city too, which is rare. I mean, a lot of times you'd think they would sort of flex or bulldoze a city. So there was a site in Cedar City. This is kind of funny, but it went on 200 North Main Street. So like kind of main of Cedar. There was some opposition. There's some historic buildings nearby, and this is kind of interesting. But when there were some people that kind of protested the site, didn't necessarily want to see the Best Western go away. And so the engineers came back in for comments from city council, and city council, the previous meeting had given them a bunch of requirements, and they came in and hit every single requirement. So there were maybe 5 people there ready to speak their mind against Maverik. But when Maverik presented and showed that they had met all the requirements city council had asked of them, city council praised them. So they basically said, thank you. You guys are this 800-pound gorilla, and you listened to us and you actually did what we asked. So they praised them enough that the 5 people there to protest were so sheepish they didn't even say anything. So they were kind of like, oh, city council loves it, so what are we going to do? Yeah. So it's pretty amazing they're that nimble that they'll still listen to the community. That
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys live here, you're in the community, you're headquartered in downtown Salt Lake. So I think there's a sensitivity that's different than a lot of other retailers or convenience stores or whatever.
That's 100% true. The other part that's also true is we're in the relationship business, right? You can't go in there and say, well, Maverik, you got to do this or we're not going to cut. That's not our approach. The Maverik approach is building partnerships with cities, because you never know when you're going to build the next Maverik, and it becomes easier the second time around. So you've always got, and you're right, Spencer, we've got a very talented group of entitled. If I had to do that, I don't know. I'm very specific at what I do.
Talking about jobs that you don't want to do.
Yeah, talk about that's tough. That's speaking in front of a city council or in front of a planning commission. Now we are at certain times required, if the entitlement manager isn't available, we get to do it. But we do that rarely. But we do have a group of people that go and tell. And just some of the most talented people that we know. But the first thing that they do best is the ability to be able to build those relationships and respect the process. We have to respect the process. Otherwise, no one's going to give you any approvals.
But I think that's one thing we've seen just on some of the other sites we've worked on is you guys adapt to trying to make sure that it's not a nuisance to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Whether it's by building a higher wall or some sort of sound barrier.
We do that all the time, and
when you don't have to.
Yeah, and we'll work with cities to be able to do it. Neighborhood comes out. I remember one deal to say, "Hey, you're gonna, the lighting here is gonna flood the zone here where we're trying to sleep." Okay, we put lights on. Internally into cans, and we've done amazing things just to make sure that the neighborhoods are. We're listening. I don't know who said listening, but we listen to those kinds of things because, again, it always comes back to the relationship we have with the community, because you never know if you need to come back later or to ask for something. If you don't have those relationships, you're not going to get anything done.
Well, guys, I could keep talking about Maverik and burritos all day, but
you're hungry?
But now we're going to leave here and we're going to Maverik. I guess one thing, I just keep thinking of questions. This is bad, guys. I love this topic, but the downtown Maverik at your HQ, that's just a convenience store?
Just a convenience store.
Does that thing do volume, or is it more of just
it does volume. It does volume, and it does well. But as you notice, it's more of a marketing,
beautiful store.
But it's also places where you can go test stuff, if we need to. But we were talking about earlier, because in the weekend it's dead, right?
Yeah.
So it's
downtown Salt Lake. Yeah.
Downtown Salt Lake is in the weekend is dead. But yeah, the stores. I love it having there. Just walk down the office there, and
I would love
don't have to go anywhere. Just go get my fix in the afternoon and fix in the morning.
The cook by name.
Yeah. and the great people that work down there. So yeah.
It's awesome. Joe, Preston, Spencer, really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Maverik's awesome.
Thanks for the invite.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Adventure's first stop, clearly Maverik.
Hit us with his last name one more time.
Tonumaipea.
Yes.
Let's go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Shit.
That was awesome. Thank you. That's fun.